Today, we'll talk about what it's like to be a mother with epilepsy. I've talked about my pregnancy. The day that my son was born, at this point, I knew that I had been having seizures. I knew what to expect. I had an aura ahead of time. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. I tell my mom, I feel like I'm going to have a seizure. And she says, okay, go lie down on the bed. I go lie down on the bed about 9 o'clock, like I said, and about 5 p.m., I am pushing out the baby. And I don't remember the entire day. I was seizing the entire day. So my mom and my husband had to sit there and watch me have seizure after seizure. I was unconscious like the entire day. So when I woke up, of course, I have a blazing headache. I'm in a lot of pain because I had seizures all day. And then I'm pushing out a baby. So obviously that was incredibly traumatic. However, my son, of course, having a baby took all of that pain away. It was like, whatever, it's over. And so then I was a new mom with a newborn. And that was as its challenges already, as you know. I mean, if you're a parent, if you've ever heard a parent talking about the newborn stage, the babies are always crying and, all that kind of so having seizures while dealing with that is a whole separate issue. I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of family, and I have an incredibly supportive husband who could help me with that. So I couldn't breastfeed because of the medication that I was taking. So that was never an issue. I didn't have to be the one feeding him. Everyone, we got formula. Everyone could take turns feeding the baby. But just the ongoing exhaustion of being a mother and then having seizures all the time was a lot. Eventually, when he was about 3 years old, we were able to start to get them under control, but with medication. And so I thought that we were going to be okay. But shortly after that, I did start having seizures again. When I got pregnant with my daughter, my son was 6, and I thought it was in the clear. And after that, it was pretty much downhill. So I'm 6 years old. I had been spending time. I was a stay-home mom due to my seizures. I couldn't go back to work, so I was at home with him. We did lots of things together. I was able to drive at that point, so I would take him to preschool. The minute I started having seizures again, all of that ended. Not only because I wasn't physically able to go to his games and practices and things like that, but when I was home, I was sleeping a lot. He had to watch me kind of stumble to the bathroom. He had to let me lean on him while I was trying to walk to the bathroom so I wouldn't fall over. I had to tell him, "Hey, call dad. I feel like I'm going to have a seizure." And my husband works at home, so he was able to come in. He wasn't far away. He was just right across the driveway. But I'd tell him, "Call dad. I need him right now." So my son is missing out at this point on all of that, and then missing out on me. And when I was home, and when I'm having seizures, my head's pounding. So he would know that he had to like tiptoe around me, literally. He couldn't make any noise. So that was a big adjustment for him. I always say that my son, probably of everyone, has had a very traumatic experience, probably. Later, when my daughter was born, my son was 6, like I said. And at that point, it was just seizures all the time. They never really stopped. And both my children, it was the same kind of thing. My daughter was young. I was able to go back to work with her. And then she was a newborn. I thought it was going to be okay. I was teaching, and the seizures came on again and just came on again, and we were never able to get it controlled. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is God's way of telling me I'm a stay-home mom. But it was the same kind of thing. My kids know that they had to be quiet. They had to be careful. They may or may not have seen me have a seizure. They didn't ever see me have a grand mal tonic-clonic seizure because those happened at night. My kids were sleeping in a different room. My husband saw all of those. But there were times when we were in public and we had to kind of like stop what we were doing, sit down and IHOP, and imagine that might be a little embarrassing for a child. So over the years, things have gotten better. My kids are teenagers now, and it's all good. We talk about it in the past, but it was very challenging for them, and it was very heartbreaking and depressing for me. I would spend times in the hospital with these epilepsy monitoring units. I missed like an Easter egg hunt. I don't remember at all the day that my daughter was born. I remember being induced, going to the hospital, talking to my husband, but because of the memory loss, that is all gone. So I absolutely am so blessed to have these beautiful children. I have a boy and a girl, but it was a long road getting here. And, I'm okay now. But as older children, I think they would be able to handle it better. But unfortunately, it happened when they were young. So we are blessed to be in this situation. Any mom who is dealing with this, any child who's seen their parent deal with this, my heart is with you because we know in our family how hard that is.